Well, I'm joined in the studio now by the Shadow Secretary for International Trade, Barry Gardiner. Firstly, thanks for being with us after a difficult week for the party. We know that some of your Shadow Cabinet colleagues were, shall we say, slightly more reluctant to be grilled on a Sunday morning political show.
Oh, no, surely
not. So thank you for being braver than they were.
Pleasure.
We should start off by talking about Copeland.
Yes.
A seat that Labour had held since the 1930s. I mean, that was a pretty devastating verdict on what your party's offering, wasn't it?
Look, it was. It was a terrible night for us. We went down by, almost 7 percentage points in the polls in Copeland. And this is a seat which, although it's been reducing in the Labour majority for many, many years, actually, if you look over 15 years, it's got less and less each time. But nonetheless, it was a seat we desperately wanted to win.
And there were 62 seats that were more marginal than Copeland. So
yes, but I think there were peculiarities about Copeland. The electorate is always, I think, rightly a bit fed up when a member of Parliament decides that they're going to leave for their own reasons rather than because
so it's Jamie Reed's fault.
No, absolutely not. Look, Jamie was a great MP, and one of the things that, of course, he did provide huge reassurance for the people of Copeland of was over the nuclear issue, and it was one of the issues that really hit us in that by-election because, of course, it was so important. Sellafield being the major employer, Moorside being absolutely vital for future jobs in that area. And of course, the publicity that was put out by the other party was of course,
and of
attacking.
Course, the 3 decades of speeches that Jeremy Corbyn had made saying that he was opposed to nuclear power.
Yeah, and we tried to counter that. We tried to say very clearly, look, Jeremy has always accepted that nuclear is part of the energy mix going forward. He has
he always accepted that?
Yeah, he has as part of the Labour Party. It's the Labour Party position. It's what he produced speech after speech during that campaign, saying precisely that. But nonetheless, we lost. I mean, that's the bottom line, and there's no gilding that particular problem. I think we have to look, though, more widely, and I think we have to say, look, what's happening in British politics is really a fundamental shifting of the ground. This is not simply about Copeland. It's not simply about... And you see, Stoke, we won, and I'm, of course, delighted that we did, and delighted that we defeated UKIP and Paul Nuttall there. But actually, in Stoke as well, we lost share of the vote, and we have to take that seriously too.
It's a
shift in policy.
What do you make then of how your leader and members of the Shadow Cabinet have reacted to this? You say that we need to take it seriously. Can we have a look now at some of the reasons that some of your Shadow Cabinet and Jeremy Corbyn gave for losing Copeland? Fake news, a leadership election that ended 5 months ago, Tony Blair, the political establishment. I mean, if you look at that, it looks a bit as though Labour is trying to blame everyone else apart from themselves, a bit like the kind of tactics you might see in the schoolyard.
Look, I'm not here to blame anybody else, OK? And also, I'm not here to lay the blame simply on our leader. And I think far too much of British politics is personalised. It's personalised around leaders. It's personalised around individuals. In fact, I think, and it's not just the Shadow Cabinet either, members of Parliament, the Labour members of Parliament, are the leaders of the Labour Party, and we all have a responsibility to be getting our message across. Now, we're on the back foot. Stoke and Copeland have put us on the back foot. That's absolutely clear. Out there in the electorate, we're on the back foot. But look at it in the House of Commons, we're actually on the front foot. In the House of Commons, we're the ones that are making the play and forcing the government on the back foot about social care. We're the ones that are making...
it's the Conservative backbenchers who are forcing the government on some of the other issues.
They wouldn't be doing it if we hadn't been forcing this, on business rates, on funding formulas. All of these things are things that we in the Labour Party, look at what Debbie Abrams has been doing just over this past few days over the issue of disability benefits. The courts say that the government should be giving £3.7 billion to disabled people in this country, which the government is now trying to stop. So actually, what we're doing in Parliament has been really successful.
You say that it's not
we're actually holding them to account.
You say that it's not about Jeremy Corbyn. But it's hard to escape the view that at least part of this is because of your leader. Just
sorry,
look
I didn't
at some
say
of the
that,
polls,
Sophie. Sorry, I didn't say that, Sophie. I said it's not only about Jeremy Corbyn. We all share that responsibility. So, leadership is about all of the MPs, not just about one or two.
So you
people.
accept then that he needs to take some blame?
Of course, and he accepts that as well.
A Comrade Sunday Mirror poll out today, 77% of voters think he should be replaced. His personal approval rating is -38. People have always told us that the more the public will see of Jeremy Corbyn, the more they'll like him. But the opposite's happening.
Look, can I just say to you, the thing that would please the Conservative Party more than anything else is if the Labour Party went to yet another leadership election. It would be insane. We know that the public do not like divided parties. The Tories found that out to their cost a few years ago. We are now finding out to ours. Okay? But the divisions in the Labour Party reflect, and this is the important thing here, because this isn't about a few politicians in Westminster. It's about what's happening in our country and how we're responding to it. And what's happening in the country is actually Brexit has divided us in a way that no other political issue has done for 50 years. Brexit has actually meant that 2/3 of those Labour MPs who voted to remain are actually sitting in seats who voted to leave. They feel themselves desperately vulnerable, and therefore they're deeply concerned about the future of the party. Now, they need to focus on how they connect with their electorate, as all of us do. But the other part of this is that 2/3 of Labour voters in the public at large actually wanted to remain. So we in the Labour Party are divided in a way that no other party is. So our constituencies are going one way, our membership are going the other. And what we've got to do as Labour members of Parliament, as the leaders of the party, is to get out there and start talking to people. Start saying to people, OK, what are the issues? What are the things that really are making you afraid of how politics is going today? You know, when your children cannot get a mortgage because there are no houses being built, when there are insecure jobs, people are being put on 0 hours contracts and flexible jobs that give them no security.
Challenges for Labour. There are clear challenges for Labour, but sometimes from an outside perspective, it can look as though you're retreating onto comfortable territory. We can just show you quickly now what was written on some election material in Copeland. Mothers will die, babies will be brain damaged. I mean, putting to one side the fact that that's got the subtlety of a hammer, you literally said that babies will die if the Conservatives get elected, and people still voted Conservative.
Look, that's a quote from a midwife who knows that if you are in West Cumbria, and being forced to travel 40 miles in labour, in a difficult labour, to go to a hospital in Carlisle, that midwife was saying, quite rightly, that babies, are then going to be vulnerable in that situation.
I understand.
But I understand your point as well. And your point is, we're retreating to the core issue of the NHS.
Unfortunately,
we can't be a single issue party. We've got to have a broader appeal.
Barry Gardiner, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.